Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. You know, when it comes to Dr. Ian Smith, the words multi-talented, multifaceted, they all come to mind. And to back that up, the New York Times best-selling author has actually released a new crime novel, and it's called The Overnights. Check this out. And joining us to talk all about it is the one and only man about town, man that does so many things, Dr. Ian Smith. Welcome back to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Always great to join you. Thanks for having me.
We love having you on, and we love seeing the full aspect of Dr. Ian Smith here. This is actually your fifth novel, though. We know you're a novelist, but you're also the third installment of the Ash Kane Private Investigator series. Give everybody a background of actually how you went from health books to these mysteries.
Well, I've always been a lover of fiction since I was a little kid, and I've always loved mysteries and thrillers. And so it was never a leap for me from an intellectual standpoint to be interested in this genre of literary work. However, I finally decided, you know what? I love reading this stuff so much. I love the way it makes me feel. I'm so engaged. I actually want to write it. And so I started writing many years ago novels of this genre, and I didn't publish it because everyone knew me for my health and my
Right.
wellness and my diet books. And finally, I went to our publisher and said, listen, I love these books. This is what I watch when I'm watching streaming shows. I want to publish it. You got to publish my novels. And they started publishing my novels, and I created this character, Ash Kane, who's a former Chicago police detective who becomes a private investigator who takes up rare and select cases in and around the city. I created this character who I thought was not out there, a guy who was athletic, he's sporty, he's a
Right.
golf addict, but he's smooth and he's irreverent, and he's sarcastic, and he can quote Biggie, Smalls, rappers, and he can quote Shakespeare.
I love
So,
that.
so that's how I got into writing fiction, and this is the third installment of my private investigator series that's based in Chicago.
It sounds like Ash has a little bit of Dr. Ian in it as well, because he's multi-talented. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there
Well,
has to be, because you know yourself, so you put a little bit of yourself in that. Is that safe to say?
yeah, well, I would like to say this. If I could come back again, I'd like to come back as the character Ash Kane.
Okay, cool. Enough said.
Right?
I love that, which really gets you into the story, because if you bring yourself into that, and that's something I've always found, like from doctors and people that are really excel in their profession, is they have that imagination. And like Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. So I can totally appreciate that. Using the imagination, you chose the title "The Overnights." Explain that.
Well, you know this as a media personality. The overnights are the ratings reports that news stations get during the ratings period.
Right.
And so, you know, when you're in this ratings period called sweeps, that's when everyone is vying to get the best ratings. And when those reports come in the next day, you call those the overnights. Well, this novel is based on a ratings war between two very popular Chicago anchor women who are vying for supremacy in the city. And well, let's just say that in their quest to become number one, and one is trying to stay number one, things go awry.
Okay.
And our guy, Ash Kane, is called in to try to figure out what's really going on.
All right, now a little bit more of your history. You were a local and like network correspondent earlier in your career, and I felt a little big smile in that. Is there any experiences that you might have gone through that influence the story? You don't have to give names. Is there any influence there, though?
100%. In fact, people are going to recognize some people who are in the book, some characteristics that are in the book of certain very famous people. So absolutely, I drew on my experience being in the newsroom for so long.
Love that.
As a correspondent. And so, yeah, it really was fun to do that, to go back into the station, into the studio, and kind of bring that life that people don't see. You know,
Yeah.
you see the news anchor, but you don't see what's behind the scenes. I bring to you what's behind the scenes.
Oh, cool. All right, you hooked me, and you're reeling me in very easily. You mentioned this is the third, but is there a fourth installment coming?
Yeah, it's already written. It's ready to go. It's called Eagle Rock. It's another fun story. You know, what I love about these stories is if you've never been to Chicago before, these books are like a roadmap to Chicago. The
Okay.
restaurants, the streets, the activities. Chicago is a character in these books. And I think people like that too, because they sit down and read it, and you can come to the city and look at my book, and it will show you where everything is, the lake, the parks,
Oh, I
the
love
museums. So it's a lot of fun.
I love that. I want to switch gears a little bit here, because you have another book, The Metflex Diet. Can I actually have pizza, steak, and maybe knock back a few brews every day, and maybe every now and then, and still lose weight? Is that possible?
100%. That's
Yeah.
the premise of the MetFlex diet. It's a program, it's a 6-week program that allows people and teaches people how to eat carbs better and how to eat fats better and to be able to burn them both. Unfortunately, a lot of us are inflexible. We're only able to burn one of or the other. This book produces and introduces you to a lot of carbs and fats and teaches you that when you sit down to a plate of pasta, you can burn it. When you sit down to steak or
Oh, I
seafood,
like
you can
that.
burn that also. And that's why people are losing up to 20 pounds in 6 weeks on the MetFlex diet.
And this Netflix, you actually let about 1,000 people try that program out early. What kind of results did you see from it?
Amazing results. I
Yeah.
mean, people lost on average in 6 weeks 14 to 16 pounds. They dropped 8 to 10 inches because this is a book that helps your body burn fat. It uses a little bit of intermittent fasting. It uses short-term keto, but it also gives you a lot of carbs. And so this method allows people to go into their fat stores and burn fat for energy rather than using food for energy.
Okay. Now, and there's something that you call metabolic inflexibility. What are some of the signs, quickly, that you might have?
If you're someone who just ate and you still have cravings, if you're someone who eats a carbohydrate rich meal like pasta and you find yourself to be kind of sluggish afterward, or if you haven't eaten and you're kind of like cranky and you're depressed or sad about things, those are typical signs that you are metabolically inflexible. But that's the bad news. The good news is that in 6 weeks you can change and unstick your metabolic switch to start losing weight.
I'm loving this. I'm raising my hand when you go. If you're a type of person that everything you mentioned, I do, and I'm working. And my wife's a nutritionist, and she's helping me. I'm doing bread-free June. I'm getting off bread altogether.
Oh.
So if y'all see me eating bread, you come up and snack because carbs will do so much to you. I totally appreciate this. And not more than that, though. I appreciate you, Dr. Ian Smith, a guy that just can do it all, and he takes the time to talk to us. Thank you so much. You want more information? Look for Dr. Ian Smith. Just go on Facebook, Dr. Ian K. Smith, or go to iansmith.com.